Last year was the first year that we launched this program, and the President's Green Initiative Awards really designed to unleash and support the creative, innovative forces that our students bring to our campuses. So one of the questions earlier to the panelists was, how can we support our students to create more innovation and enterprises that advance sustainability? And the President's Green Initiative Awards is designed to do exactly that. So it was the inaugural launch last year, and we gave two $10,000 prizes to student groups to lead the implementation of a sustainability project at their campus. So students from Leeward have created a short video about what they put together. So sit back and enjoy.
I guess I really got involved when I went to the Sustainability Summit last year. There was a bunch of projects that people were working on, and one was from Leeward, and it was about converting all of the school's food waste into compost. And then later on, they won. You know, they won the President's Green Initiative. It's like kind of a huge deal, right?
So you can choose to view the program as a recycling program, or you can choose to see it as a collaboration between stakeholders, a reclamation of indigenous EK and sciences, and real green and information-based workforce development.
So actually created a couple labs that match with the system. So we have labs on vermicomposting, and also the compost itself, we get to turn around and use it in the plots and grow some really awesome plants. So
there's also this awareness that sustainability is being taken seriously on campus, that President Lassner's wishes are actually being fulfilled even just in the small steps that we are taking. We're moving in that direction. Hopefully one day we can get there, and just having the conversation about saving your food scraps is a step in the right direction.
Josh, I see you hanging out there. Yeah, there you go, right on. Okay, the second award last year, we're actually going to do a little bit of an unveiling, I guess, today. And I'll let Joey explain for himself what he's up to with his rescaling urbanism projects. Joey, you want to come up and share a little bit about what you've been up to since winning the President's Green Awards last year?
All right, hello. Aloha. I'm Joey Valenti, and this is now the Albizia project. Before I begin, I'd first like to acknowledge Office of Sustainability for presenting me with the hardest task so far, summing up this project, this last year of the project, in 3 minutes. Thank you. But really, thank you. I'm truly thankful for what you guys have done, all the support you've provided so far on this journey. And speaking of mahalos, I'd also like to point out, since receiving the award, I've since had the support multiply to all of these sectors and departments that are in and around UH. And for those not familiar, this idea developed on current social and ecological issues that we are facing globally, more specifically right here on our Hawaiian Islands. So the approach not only had the intent of bringing dignity back into our community, but it was also a response to the threats of Hawaii's precious ecosystems. no sound. But that's where Albizia came in. And from there, I developed a process that could turn a low value, as you know, invasive species into a pragmatic solution. One that can open an avenue to help two different worlds. And that required reaching beyond conventional systems. And I took new technologies in digital fabrication, intersected that with more process-based systems, and tied in innovative materials. So following the award, the School of Architecture at UH Manoa offered a position that matched the initial funding. And that allowed me to develop the laminated panel system and build models, as well as full-scale specimens. And we collaborated with College of Engineering, Dr. Ian Robertson, and we did tests in their lab. And these are some of the specimens before tested to failure at full scale. And the above image you see was a tension test, and below was a beam test. And by the second phase, to simplify what you're seeing here, we achieved passing structural results for all the above. So then we went on to hunt for Albizia around Oahu and found trees coming down off the H2 and more off from Schofield Army Base. And it didn't take much convincing for them to donate. And then we had all the material delivered to Waimanalo Wood, where we've teamed up to do the milling. And it's quite the upgrade since my first log at Lion Arboretum, where we had a 2-man Alaskan sawmill to a 4-man team where we have quickly milled up wood with the wood miser. So we've got the lumber drying, and some recent news, Hawaii Housing Finance Development Corporation has contracted with us and provided funding to build this first prototype at full scale. Thank you. So we've pushed the envelope of design for a structure inspired by indigenous Pacific Island architecture that utilizes passive design strategies, and it designed out conventional systems to be almost entirely built out of Albizia. And now we're working with UH Manoa on potential sites to temporarily exhibit this prototype. And the most exciting news, we've recently teamed up with Honolulu Community College and their carpentry department to create a summer course, and students will help us build this. So that's a little tip on what you're about to see. The reveal. So this is the latest model of what we'll be building at full scale. And from here, I'd like to invite you all to join us to the launch party when the full-scale prototype is completed and revealed. And you can join the mailing list at thealbiziaproject.com, where we've just got updated to keep you in the loop on what's going on and where this project will go forward. And you can also find us at cleared. but on Instagram at the Albizia Project. Somewhere in there. There it is. Yep. Thank you.
This is a meeting of wisdoms. Anybody? That's pretty cool. Thank you. So, both of those projects were only possible with the support of our sponsors last year that helped us launch that program. And they had so much fun with us on that journey that they decided to sponsor us again and help us out. So, mahalo nui loa. What's interesting is that I know that Joey has been able to leverage the initial $10,000 award to at least a 4x return in matching. That's just in cash, not including all of the other in kind. It would probably be closer to 10x plus if we were to factor all of those things. He's moving heavy equipment and having fun on big semi-trailers and whatnot. And the LCC team similarly was able to leverage that efforts into a institutionalized student sustainability coordinator position. So well done. It just really illustrates how with a little bit of seed funding, we can really start to unleash this creativity. In addition to our gold sponsors this year, we would also like to recognize Hawaii Energy and Train Building Advantage, who supported us with helping to make the student portion and the strategic energy management portion of the summit as well. I'd like to invite our president to the stage so that he can share a few thoughts from his perspective about all of these shenanigans. So welcome to the stage, President David Lassner.
Thanks, Matt. Well, it's great to be here again, and I guess I should admit that even though they're called the President's Awards, I have very little to do with them other than to be incredibly proud of the work you guys are doing. One of the reasons I love coming to this event is I don't know of anything else we do in the university that pulls people together the way this has. And I really want to thank Matt and the Office of Sustainability team for creating an environment that brings together students, faculty, and staff from all 10 campuses and the UH system to work together on something that you're all passionate about and that is so important to the university and to Hawaii. It is, you know, as I listened, I caught the tail end of the wisdom panel. But when I think about issues of trust and collaboration and having a beer together, you all are living it. So just thank you so much for your commitment and passion to moving us forward. Except for there's no beer. I don't know. I was kind of looking at that. Work on that next year. Yeah, we'll have the President's Beer Award. How's that? So Matt told me about 19 minutes ago that he had left 15 minutes for me to speak. And I'm not going to use all that, but I was thinking, so how many of you were here last year? Most of you, I think. So I shared with you what I was then calling my epiphany, that all of these, I was working on all of these activities that were disconnected. So we had the partnership with Kamehameha Schools, we had the Promise to Children, working with the Worldwide Voyage and the Polynesian Voyaging Society and Nainoa. We had our sustainability initiative, my Hawaii Papa'okeao, how to become a model indigenous serving university. And that one evening when I was sitting in a corner of a room with Nainoa Thompson and Kathy Matayoshi from the DOE, it suddenly came to me that all of this is one thing, and I was not treating this as 4 separate projects was not going to put me in the right place, and as the leader, it wasn't going to put the university in the right place. So I'm just going to share with you something that I got to do this summer. This is like They were asking me about it at the table, but this is probably the coolest thing I got to do as president. I've been doing this for 3.5 years, but I got to spend 3 weeks as a crew member on the Hokulea. Everybody, are any crew members here? Any like real crew members? Okay, so I can make this whole thing up and nobody will know. No. So when I got invited, I didn't go through the whole crew training that everybody does, but the first thing they asked me was they gave me the fitness test assignment that I should be prepared to do. So 10 pull-ups, which I hadn't done probably since 4th grade. Let's see, swim a mile in an hour and a half. So I had done that as a Boy Scout, so I was pretty sure I could swim a mile. Run a mile in 15 minutes. So other than the fact that I could barely run at all, the 15 minutes isn't that hard. So I kind of built up my cardio a little to do the running thing. And then they said you have to do 10 tricep dips, which I had never heard of before. So some of you will know what those are. I got the guys at the weight room. This was during the off season and they weren't busy with teams. So they helped me work out for like 2 or 3 months, which was kind of fun. And I had no idea what a science it actually is to build up the certain muscle groups that you need. I got all ready to go, and my leg was Washington, D.C. to New York. So this was not open sailing, but what was cool was the community engagement as well as the time actually on the Hokulea with the crew. So we started in Washington, D.C. There's a lei draping of the Kamehameha statue every year at Kamehameha Day. And they actually, by an act of Congress, they close the Capitol, or they open the Capitol, it's on a Sunday. They open it up special just for the Hawaii gang. So this is all the people, either UH alumni, Hawaiians, people from Hawaii, people who have developed an affinity for Hawaii. They all get together. It's one of the major events about Hawaii in the Washington, D.C. area. And because the Hokulea was there, it was a really big deal. Hundreds of people, halau, musicians, and everybody was really excited about the crew being there. And so that was awesome. And then we quietly went up and we also draped the lei of, so Kamehameha is in this huge room in the, where you would eat in the cafeteria, just outside the cafeteria of the Capitol downstairs, because it's so heavy. That's like one of the few places they can put him. And then we also went off, and Father Damien is off in a hallway somewhere, so we also honored him as well. And we had parties at the Botanic Garden, and then kind of a backyard party with music and dance at someone's home. And then we took off from the Washington Canoe Club, and it was kind of cool. The journey was down the Potomac River, up the Chesapeake Bay, down the Delaware Bay, and then around New Jersey, the bottom of New Jersey, and then on the Atlantic Ocean and into New York Harbor. So for me, what was particularly special, so I guess everybody comes from somewhere. My grandparents are immigrants. They all came over from Eastern Europe, where if you've ever seen Fiddler on the Roof, that's sort of the kind of life my grandparents were living in Eastern Europe. And they got out before the Holocaust. They lost relatives during World War II there. But they came in through New York Harbor. They were processed in Ellis Island. So it was really pretty cool for me personally to come into New York Harbor on the Hokulea, Ellis Island, Statue of Liberty. This is like 110 years after my grandparents made that journey from the other side of the world. The celebrations that we had with people throughout were just amazing. So I was actually only on the water maybe 5 days, and I'll say a little bit about the time on the canoe because it is pretty special. But we spent a lot of time, and if you follow the blogs or, I encourage you, if you just go to hokulea.com, you can see the stories from the crew members. But what is really amazing is Nainoa made a couple of decisions that I think are pretty remarkable. One was everywhere that the canoe goes, he asks permission of the indigenous people to land. And so in New York Harbor, we actually got in, and the welcome ceremony was on Manhattan. I will tell you, to make schedule and deal with weather, it's a little bit staged. So we were actually in New York a couple days earlier, and then we sort of did the ceremonial, welcome, and the weather was not very cooperative, to be honest. But several Native American tribes from the region, they actually paddled in on canoes. And many of them, they said they hadn't, it was the first time in a canoe for some of them that they had been that inspired by the Hokulea coming to visit, that they revisited their own traditions. We were welcomed with their chants and dances. In one case, I'm just struck, one of the chiefs of one of the tribes is greeting us in this really deep Brooklyn accent, if you've heard it. It's pretty funny. So they're part of their society, but it was very moving. They basically said nobody has ever asked permission to land here for 400 years. And as many in Hawaii, to them, that is still their island. So we ended up in New York, and this was a 3-week expedition entirety for me. And the Va'a then went up the Hudson River and visited many more tribes along the way, and then came back down, and you're probably all familiar in following it. So I'll just say a little bit about life on the canoe. We had about 12 people. And it was a mix of very experienced people who had been crew members, captains, and others from the 70s, and then young people in their 20s. And I would say one of Nainoa's real passions about this is using this voyage to train the next generation of navigators, captains, crew members, and voyagers. And if you saw, I think the really important thing that just happened, if you were following the leg from the Galapagos to Rapa Nui that just concluded, that there were 4 apprentice navigators who had never navigated alone before, it's a pretty small target if you look at a map. And so their success in working together to find Rapa Nui, or as we pull it from the sea is the metaphor that's used, is really pretty amazing. And now they're continuing on to Pitcairn Island and Tahiti and Tapu Tapu Atea at Raiatea, and I'm going to go down next month and meet them for a week again. That'll be fun. So life on the canoe, we had about 12 people. I knew a couple of them, but not well. They were very welcoming, and I'll just say that I appreciated this. I could just imagine a bunch of people finding out that the president of UH is going to be on your crew, and they just go, "Oh my God, what is that going to be?" So I tried to, do my part. I'm not a serious sailor or anything, but I do know how to wash dishes and things like that. So you sleep in the hull. That's all true. You're on a 2-foot by 6-foot. It's basically a piece of plywood with foam on it. I'm a backpacker by my background, so it's much more comfortable than many of the places I slept in a tent with rocks under me and all that kind of stuff. We cook on, it's basically a Coleman 2-burner stove. We have a designated cook. We're provisioned pretty well. There's a captain, and because we were going, and it was Nainoa for our leg, so he was making all of the decisions about when we could go. And mostly we were dealing with weather. There was a hurricane on the East Coast at the time we were there. It was south, but he was pretty worried about that. And we worked in shifts. So I had the 5 to 10 a.m. and p.m. shift. We had 3 of us who were on duty. And we were responsible for basically the health and safety of the canoe, alerting anybody of anything that needed to be known, keeping on track. We were going pretty much all the time when there was good weather, so essentially it's 4 to 5 hours of work. Then you pass off to the next watch. We had 3 of us on my watch. Billy Richards was my watch captain, who's on the first leg in 1976 to Tahiti. And then 8 hours, you better sleep a little bit in there, you better eat a little bit in there, and then you're back on again for the next time around. Everybody was very collaborative. People were patient with me and taught me. I learned a bunch of knots. I learned more about the canoe and sailing than I ever imagined. And I would say the camaraderie, the collaboration, and the passion for what everybody was doing was really inspiring. And it did for me to come back to where I started. It pulled together the threads of what I hope we can achieve together for the University of Hawaii and the people of Hawaii. So thank you for humoring me with my small story, and on with the show.
Do you want to take your product on stage?